We are live now. Hello, Sachiko, we are live now.
Okay, so I'll start. それでは本日はお忙しいところ、SIM の、ウェビナーにご参加いただきましてありがとうございます。それでは本日ですね、シンガポールインスティテュートマネジメントのアイビーさんにご参加いただきまして、こちらの大学のプレゼンテーションを行っていただきます。よろしくお願いします。Okay, Ivy, please start your presentation.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hello from Singapore. Hello to everyone in Japan. Thank you for taking your Sunday afternoon to join us for this seminar. So, Singapore Institute of Management, it's been more than a year that we have not been to Japan, but thank you to SIUK. We have this opportunity to meet everyone, although it has to be virtually. So, it's been an interesting year in 2020, but having said that, it doesn't stop many Japanese students who actually came to Singapore to study during such a special year. And this year also, we have seen quite a number of students from Tokyo, from Yokohama, and also from Osaka moving to Singapore. And they're actually starting from mid of this year, around July, they will be arriving in Singapore. So today, what I'm going to share with you is that we are going to learn a little bit more about Singapore on the 10 things you need to know about Singapore and Singapore Institute of Management. So before we start, let me introduce myself first. I am Ivy. I'm from the Regional Recruitment Department of Singapore Institute of Management. And like any of you, I actually moved to Singapore many years ago as a student. So if you decide to come to Singapore to study, your journey will be pretty much the same like what I had gone through. Like for example, I actually came here to study my universities for around 3 over years and then decided to stay back in Singapore to work. And after that, I got my permanent resident and now I'm already officially a Singapore citizen. So if you're asking like where was I born? I was born in Hong Kong, but I would call myself an official Singaporean now. So let's start by understanding a little bit more about Singapore. Because I think all these while, Japanese coming to Singapore usually is for holiday, for tourism. But today we are going to see Singapore from a different perspective. As we are coming to Singapore to study, meaning that you are actually starting your future here. And when we say future, meaning that you need to understand the country more than just the hospitality and tourism and good food and this places for visiting. So Singapore, we were the most competitive economy in the world in 2019. We are also the country with top 10 lists for this world talent ranking. And then we are named as the best country for children to grow up and receive education. And although many people say that Singapore is the most expensive country and city in the world, from statistics, it shows that Singapore is the 8th cheapest city to spend one day. So meaning if in the past, when you come to Singapore, you have only visited expensive places, it's worth it that you start exploring somewhere beyond the tourism spot. So this is the same idea. For example, if I'm in Tokyo, in Shibuya, in Shinjuku area, in Tokyo Station, everything is more expensive than the probably like 10 minutes away from the central area. And the same thing for Osaka, when we talk about Umeda, Osaka Station, everything is more expensive than the places which could be like 15, 20 minutes away from the central. So remember, the next time you visit Singapore, try to explore beyond the tourism spots. Singapore is also very proud to be the 11th most beautiful city in the world and the Asia's most beautiful city. We are named as the world's safest and smartest city, and our airport, Singapore Airport, Changi Airport, has been consecutively 7 years the best airport in the world. So the next time if you come to Singapore, do explore. Although Singapore do not produce natural gas and oil, but we are the largest marine refueling hub in the world. And half of Singapore's population is belongs to the 10% richest in the world. And the last point, and I would say the most important point, is that whenever multinational companies coming to Asia, 46% of them would choose Singapore as their Asia headquarters, Asia Pacific headquarters, or some of them even global headquarters. So some of the names that you could be familiar with include like Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, and even now TikTok is coming into Singapore. And in addition, if you know HP, the Asia Pacific headquarters is in Singapore, and the Dyson, the global headquarters is in Singapore. So in Singapore Institute of Management, we have about 17,000 to 18,000 students. We were established in 1964 by the Singapore Economic Development Board. And we have students coming from more than 40 countries, and Japanese students in the top 15. We are having a very international and diversified culture within SIM, which is a good place for you to learn new languages and probably learn some new culture. So let's start with what are the 10 things I'm going to share with you today. So if we talk about the 10 things that we care about, on your left-hand side, 1 to 5, these are the educational related matter, from recognition to amount of time that you need to complete your bachelor's or master's degree, the tuition fee, cost of living, and also student life. While on the right-hand side is the environmental, the cultural factor, like for example, the culture of a country, the language we use, how international it is, the international exposure you may gain, and employment opportunity, migration opportunity, and safety. So let's start with Singapore Institute of Management. I think just now I've mentioned that we were established in 1964. We are 1 year older than Singapore as a country. And under SIM, we have our professional development, which we provide trainings, short-term trainings for students, for working adults, for companies, for governments, from management program to IT program, and even we have online program now. Well, for SIM Global Education, we work with UK, US, Australia universities to offer their degree in Singapore. So meaning that you can complete the entire bachelor's degree or master's degree in Singapore without going to UK, US, Australia, especially during this time of pandemic. I think many students, especially from what I hear from some of the students who have registered this year, they're particularly worried about UK, US, or even the extensive lockdown and also this border closure of Australia. So students are actually not going to UK, US, Australia, but they still like to have the education, the quality that they believe. So in Singapore, they can complete degree from some of these universities without having to travel too far. On the right-hand side, this is SIM University, which we established in 2005. It's been 16 years now. And in 2017, it has officially become the 6th public university in Singapore. And it is now named as Singapore University of Social Sciences. So until today, it is still located within our campus, the campus right behind me now. Okay, so what differentiate Singapore Institute of Management with all other universities in the region, or maybe even those universities in UK, US, Australia, is that our definition of international education has become a little bit different. And I think Japan students are very active in overseas study trip. You are active in the global exchange aspect. But for international education, when we define it, it is no longer just about quality education and stepping out of your country to study in another country. But what we believe in is that during your study, you have to gain the network to have better quotient in the cultural part and also language, pick up new languages which help you in the future. And lecturers, they are not just those who are researchers or maybe lecturers who have been teaching in universities, but those who have been working, who can bring you the kind of experience that you may not have experienced it yourself, so they can share with you what's really happening in the world. So within the SIM system, we work with UK, US, Australian universities. And what you can see here include State University of New York, University of Buffalo. For UK, we have University of London, University of Birmingham, University of Warwick, University of Stirling. For Australia, we have Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, RMIT, La Trobe University, and University of Wollongong, which is quite close to Sydney. And also for students who are interested in master's degree, you can also consider Grenoble, which is from France. But for master's degree, we don't just offer it with Grenoble, but we also offer it with University of Birmingham from UK, University of Warwick from UK, and also University of London for graduate diploma. All the universities you see here, they are the public universities of their country. And quite a number of them, they're the top 100 in the world. So duration-wise, when you study in Singapore, it's shorter. So for example, if you actually study in Japan, I suppose you know that Japan, it will take you 4 years to complete a degree. Same goes for US. But in Singapore, a US degree will only take 3 years because we do not have the long winter and summer holiday. You do have holidays, but not that long. That means that you save your cost of living and also in terms of duration, because meaning that it's opportunity cost, the time that you spend. Tuition fee wise, Singapore Institute of Management, we are not for profit. So until today, our local and international student, their tuition fee is still the same. Well, location from Tokyo, we are around 7 hours away. From Osaka, we are around 6 hours away. So to go back home is not that difficult. You can still fly in the morning and reach home in the afternoon. So for those who want to stay close to home, and especially this time, if parents or those who are worried for their kids to go overseas, I think this can be a good option. And the most important is that the bachelor's degree, the final qualification you get, the certificate you get, will be from these universities directly without the indication of Singapore Institute of Management or Singapore as a location of study. So it will be identical if you do it in Buffalo, if you do it in Birmingham, or if you do it in RMIT. So some of the universities that we would like to highlight here, including University of London, University of Birmingham, and RMIT, because these are some of the popular ones among the Japanese students, but we also see quite a lot of them going for State University of New York, University at Buffalo. For University of London, we're the largest first-class honors provider in the world, meaning that we have the largest number of students producing the best result in the world. And that also leads to the reason why we have one of the largest scholarship quota given to our own students who have completed the University of London degree in Singapore. The other thing is for University of Birmingham, we are the only business schools they have in Asia, and it is 100% delivered by university lecturers from Birmingham. For RMIT, we are the largest offshore campus they have. So in Singapore, we have approximately around 6,500 students doing the RMIT program. Okay, so let's get started with University at Buffalo. University at Buffalo, we started our collaboration with them around 25 years ago. It's been 25 years, and they are one of the university under the Association of American Universities, one of the first one to become part of the membership. And then under the public university system, the ranking has also grown quite significantly in the recent year. 60% of the program is delivered by University at Buffalo lecturers. And if you would like to transfer there, it's possible after your first year. You can consider to go to Buffalo, or some students, they will also choose to go for exchange in Buffalo for a term, and that doesn't cost you extra tuition fee. You only have to pay for extra cost of living. So the major that University of Buffalo offer, other than the economics and then business and sociology, psychology, communication, there is a new major which they started offering in Singapore in 2019, and that is Geographic Information Science. Geography information science is actually quite an interesting major, because many companies, the multinational companies in the world, they are trying to make use of location services, how they can combine geography with information science so that they can use that to make decisions, to gather data. So like, for example, now that during pandemic, the location tracing, contact tracing, how do they do that? They actually do it with the geographic information science technology. Google Map, location services on your mobile phone. If you use iPhone, you have location service. Android also have the same thing. They are all using geographic information science. The other technology which is using this include the DiDi Taxi and also Uber. So there are many companies out there combining these technology with big data, and that is one of the trend that we could see probably 10 to 20 years down the road getting more and more popular. The next, University of London. University of London, we started working with them in 1986. So this year has been 35 years. So this kind of education model is nothing new. They have come to Singapore for many years. So University of London is one of the oldest university in UK. The system in Singapore is by University of London bringing their academic partners. So for example, University of London would carry the academic direction of program taught by Goldsmith, UCL, and LSE to deliver the program co-designed in Singapore. And we have about 10,000 students pursuing the program. And before the exam, if you are doing the business or social sciences subject, LSE lecturers, they would actually fly to Singapore to help students with it. So even now, when we talk about like students can't go for exchange in the UK because situation there is not very stable, but the UK lecturers, they are still assisting students online. The majors available from accounting to banking, finance, business analytics, data science, and business management, economics, and international relations, and politics, and etc. So we even have major under IT like artificial intelligence, and then this web development, and also some of the major into the computer science stream. For University of Birmingham, the oldest business school in UK, top 100 in the world, and 100% delivered by the University of Birmingham lecturers. The most popular major under the University of Birmingham program in Singapore is the International Business Program, whether it is undergraduate or postgraduate. For the undergraduate program, International Business major, second year last term, student has to go to University of Birmingham campus for a term. Well, for the year 3 last term, your final year, you have to go to Birmingham's partner universities. It can be in anywhere, China, Korea, or you can go to other countries in the Western country as well. So you have choices, you have options according to your own budget and preference. So for those who are looking for master's degree, for University of Birmingham, the popular major is actually the international business major. So I think so far, majority of the students pursuing this program, they choose international business, and every year the quota, as in the ratio of students coming from different nationalities is different because it's a one-year program and only once a year intake. Our next intake for the master's degree is actually October 2021. So the next is University of Stirling. University of Stirling is very popular for its marketing and also sports. So in Singapore, what we offer is the sports marketing, event management, digital marketing, and also the retail marketing program. Student can also go to Stirling for a term for exchange. Again, no extra tuition fee. You only have to pay for the cost of living. And for University of Warwick, what we offer is the master's degree as well. The major from engineering, business management, project program management, network cybersecurity, and supply chain and logistic management. So I think many of us know that the Warwick is in the top 10 in UK and also top 50 in the world. For Australia, we have RMIT, Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, in the center of Melbourne. It's quite a beautiful city university where they have earned many awards for the architecture. So student can go to Melbourne for 6 months time, again paying Singapore tuition fee, no extra cost fee, but just cost of living. The major from accounting, economics, finance, international business, communication, and also marketing and supply chain logistic management. For University of University of Wollongong, we see that although the ranking is not one of the highest among these universities we have, but students who have graduated from this university, they have the highest starting salary in comparison to other graduates from the other universities. But it doesn't mean the other universities' salary won't be higher in the future. But the starting salary reflect the market demand for certain major. So under University of Wollongong, what we offer is big data, network cybersecurity, psychology, and game and mobile development. Student can go to Wollongong for their entire year 3, or otherwise year 3 will be entirely delivered by University of Wollongong lecturer as well. For La Trobe University is very focused, is hospitality, tourism, and event management. Students who intend to do this, they have to start a diploma for 15 months before they progress to another 1.5-year degree. So in total, they can graduate from hospitality tourism degree in less than 3 years before they go for their full-time job instead of having to do internship. So some of the popular graduates from these universities include the award-winning journalist, and then the Baidu co-founder. Baidu is like the Google of China. Then some of the world popular political figures, and then those we would say is that the from the Commonwealth country, like from banking sector or maybe law, legal sector. The major we offer from psychology, sociology, everything related to IT, even in artificial intelligence and the rest, communication, supply chain, international trade, international business, accounting, banking, finance, economics, and international relations, etc. We offer all these in Singapore without students having to go to the home country. Okay, here, this is duration. So in general, to complete a bachelor's degree in Singapore for Japanese students would take around about 3 to 3.5 years, depends on the result and your English level at the point of entry. And we have different pathway available, and this is something that you do not need to zoom in and see the picture. But what I suggest you to do is that if you would like to have this brochure, you can request it from the SIUK. They do have these brochures for the individual university as well. So students can actually choose to progress through different pathway. On the left-hand side, these are the direct pathway, meaning that if your result, your English fulfill the university entry requirement, you can actually go straight into a 3-year degree. While the one on the right-hand side is for those students who need to go through foundation or diploma before entering a 2-year degree. So in total, the duration is still approximately the same, 3 to 3.5 years. So many Japanese students have this concern. So is my English good enough? So SIM, we do offer English program for students before they start the foundation and English program, as in the diploma program. They can always start with an English program if they go through the English placement test and have about IELTS 4.5. They can do the English program for 3 to 6 months before they go straight into the foundation or diploma. So this is something that we can find out later when you're ready to explore your application. So tuition fee, I'd like to highlight and share with you a little bit more because the tuition fee in Singapore is approximately around 30% to 50% in comparison to the home country. So for example, a University of London degree for 3 years total, it would cost you 2.5 million yen. Well, for a US degree in US probably would cost you like 10 to 12 million. In Singapore, for 3 years total, it will cost you around 5.6 million. So approximately around less than half compared to the States. So here, what we have is actually the cost of living comparison. So although the data is a little outdated because we don't have the latest yet, but I can share with you is that in Singapore, the cost of living is approximately around 90,000 to 125,000 yen per month. So 90,000 yen is when you actually share your room with another roommate. But if you choose to have a better like a room to yourself and then maybe apartment kind of rental option, you will have to pay slightly more. So usually we say it's about 90,000 yen to 125,000 yen. So why is it that there are still a lot of people who say Singapore is the most expensive country and city in the world, when especially just now when you compare it to UK, US, Australia, Hong Kong, or even like Japan, for a foreign student to live there is so much more affordable? It's because buying a car in Singapore is very expensive. Smoking and drinking alcohol in Singapore is also expensive because these items are actually taxable. Buying a house in Singapore for investment is also very expensive because the tax you pay is high. But if you are just a student here, you're renting a place, or for example, if you actually decide that you want to rent the whole apartment sharing with friends, it is still very affordable. So comparing with other developed countries in Asia, including Japan, Hong Kong, Korea, Singapore is a lot more livable. So these are some of the accommodation options, from the condominium to the HDB, which is actually very similar to condominium without the private facilities, and also hostels, dormitories that students can choose from. All these are student dormitories. So based on your interests and budget, you can actually look into this, and we are happy to share with you a file which is for accommodation related information. So feel free to reach out to SIUK because we'll be sharing with you a little bit more, and we can always arrange individual consultation to understand your situation better. Okay, next one I'm going to share with you is the student life and campus life in Singapore Institute of Management. We have 17 to 18,000 students coming from 40 countries, and about 20% of them are international students. So if you ask me like how many Japanese students are there, I will have to say that Japanese students are not so many in comparison to the rest, because 80% of our students are still the Singaporean. Well, the rest come from 40 countries. We do have a lot of students, like for example, from say from this from Taiwan, from Hong Kong, from China, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, and even students from Russia. So for your information, there are about 30,000 Japanese living in Singapore. There are a lot of Japanese, a lot of good food. Singapore has donkeys. Singapore has all the good Japanese food. Meiji supermarket is actually very comprehensive. So we also have 80 student clubs where our students can join activities based on different universities, interest, and also their like the nationality. So for example, Japanese students, you can join the Japanese student group. And from time to time, you also have students from Japan coming to Singapore for exchange, like for example, from Musashi University, from the Conan University, etc. Okay, so we also have another project named 1095, which is 365 days times 3. So during your 3 years journey with us, we hope that you make good use of the facilities, the platform, the opportunity that SIM provides to you. Include our Career Connect services, which guide our students from resume writing, presentation skills training, grooming training, and interview skills training, even data analytics. Our global learning opportunity here is to encourage our students to go overseas and to learn more, to get exposed to different culture. But what happened during pandemic is that you can't fly that easily, right? So our students, they actually have a lot of online exchange program. They still get to meet friends from different countries, and they are able to still make friends and build their network. We have another study assistance, which we have our senior students guiding the junior students for the subject which you find difficulty in. So, for example, whether it's English that you need someone to help you have a look at your assignment, or maybe you need help to understand how to study certain subject more effectively, we do have the senior students who can help. So just now when I mentioned about 80 student clubs, for example, if you are Japanese students like to play like say soccer, and then you are University of London student, you can join 3 different clubs. A Japanese student can join Indonesian student activity. Japanese students can join a Taiwanese student activity. So we are truly very international. All right, I would like to share with you a video here, and then this is how some of the activities in SIM is happening. So let's watch the video together, okay? Okay, so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. It is to share with you how colorful the student life in SIM is, and you are definitely encouraged to join as many as you can. But remember, your priority is still to get your study properly, done well, so that it actually help you to get a job after graduation. Yeah. Okay, so now let's get to the environmental factor. Start with the culture. Singapore is a very multicultural country with 5 big religion and 4 big races. So in Singapore, you probably see a mosque next to a church and next to a temple, and people with different religion living very harmoniously together. And language-wise, Singapore is the only country in Asia where our first language is English, meaning that whenever we talk, whenever we communicate, if you do not know that person come from which country, it will start with English first. So, but don't be surprised that Singaporeans can actually speak many languages, because other than English, everybody always have their second language, and the second language is usually their mother tongue. So, for example, the Chinese can definitely speak Chinese, the Malay, they have Malay, the Indian, they speak Tamil, but don't be surprised to see an Indian who can speak dialect of Chinese like Hokkien and Cantonese, because I have got surprised with that myself in the past. So when you're in Singapore, be active, learn more languages, because these are assets that you can keep in the future if you are in the business world or in any other industry. So Singapore is very international, with more than 8,000 multinational companies. Just now, remember in the beginning of this presentation, I said that more than 46% of the multinational companies coming to Asia would choose Singapore as their Asia headquarters, or some of them even global headquarters. To be more specific, I think Japan is also a high-tech country, because in Singapore, we attract more than 59% of multinational technology company to have their base here for their headquarters in Asia when they come to Asia. So with that, what we have is job opportunity and business opportunity, and our Wi-Fi is one of the fastest in the world. So I'm sure that you will enjoy the Wi-Fi speed when you are here. And that's also one of the reasons why a lot of company, although Singapore population is very small, but they actually choose to have their base here, because they have the infrastructure and the talent which can help them to reach out to other parts of Asia. So other than all the good things that I shared, and I do think that some of the things that is a common problem for developed country, including Singapore, similar to Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong in Asia, is that aging population problem in Singapore is real. And every year, we only have approximately around 40,000 babies born. So if we actually wait for the local to give birth, pretty much, right, we can't reach the target that the government needs in order to get the economy moving, which is approximately around 1.3 to 1.4 million people. So which is why Singapore is also very focused in bringing in talents. And the talents that we are talking about has to be those who can contribute into the economy. Whether it is those who have graduated from universities working in Singapore, or those talent who come from other countries with certain expertise that can contribute to what Singapore is looking at. Okay, this is Student Pass. Student Pass is your student visa. We call it Student Pass STP. So the processing time is 4 to 6 weeks time. But I'd like to highlight to students in Japan is that when you are a student in Singapore, you need a student pass. And Japanese students do not need a bank statement. You don't need a bank proof in order to apply for student visa, so which is easier. And that is also another sign that Singapore welcomes you. Okay, welcomes you to join us, whether to study here and possibly in the future to work here. So the minimum salary upon graduation is approximately around 200,000 yen per month. I think in terms of the salary range in comparison to Japan is not so much of difference, but the cost of living in Singapore is significantly lower, which is why we are saying that if you are going to work here and then live here, you will find that you can save a lot more money in comparison to you are in Japan. So every year we have our career fair, which happens somewhere around February. So students can bring their resume, go to different booths, because there will be more than 100, over 30 companies to come in that you can get your first round interview done. So in average, our students, their salary upon graduation is about 233,000 yen. Okay, these are some of the companies that you may be familiar with, and they are the one which come into SIM to do recruitment of students. So those that you may know very well is like Adidas, Amazon, and then the DBS Bank is the largest digital bank in the world. Then the Standard Chartered, United Overseas Bank, Singtel. Singtel is the largest telco in Singapore. Food Panda, some of the top audit company like EY, KPMG, and the rest. So the top 5 industries in Singapore are the one that definitely has higher manpower demand, that include like hospitality, tourism, professional services, banking and finance industry, international trade, manufacturing, supply chain, logistic, and digital media and technology industry. So this is the salary comparison. If we look at the students graduating from different university under SIM, and you can actually see that University of Wollongong has one of the highest starting salary. And close to 84% of our students actually get a job within 6 months' time, and there are some of them which go ahead to do their master's degree. Some of them, they go and do their after their master's degree, they go and start their business, or maybe even to learn another language in China. And more than half of our students actually get 2 job offers and above. So meaning that you have options, you have choices. So this is something interesting about Singapore. We do have our social fund, our central provident fund managed by the government. So meaning that the time when you graduated and you become a PR of Singapore, the first day you become a PR in Singapore, you will have to contribute 20% of your salary into this account. And your employer, the company you work for, has to give you additional 17%. So meaning every month you save about 37%. And if you work in Singapore for 10 years, you may probably have around 12 to 13 million of Japanese yen saving. And you can actually use this to buy property for medical purpose and for investment purpose, which is why Singapore is one of those countries which people in their 20s, it's easier to own their own property with their own effort. So these are some of the housing in Singapore. These are what we call HDB. And the price, which just now when I said that that amount of money can be used to buy property, you may be wondering, in Japan, we can't even buy a single thing with that amount of like 12, 13 million. But in Singapore, you can, because the first house, when you are 2 Singaporeans get married, your first house is actually subsidized. And it is approximately around 13 million Japanese yen. And meaning that if 2 people, your CPF, Central Provident Fund, add together, you probably don't even need a loan. Okay, so last but not least, Singapore, the most important factor is always about safety, right? When we study overseas, and Singapore is the safest city in the world and one of the safest country to do business, which is why one of the largest investor in Singapore is actually from Japan. There are a lot of Japanese company which invest in Singapore, like Sumitomo Bank, Hitachi, and then Sony, etc. So they usually prefer people who can speak Japanese, which is why a lot of Singaporeans also go and learn Japanese language. That happened to many university graduate here. So that also means if you are the one in Singapore, you do have certain advantage because of you are likely going to be bilingual or hopefully even multilingual by then. So we are located in the central western part of Singapore with one of the most modern campus, and even attendance taking is using the location service. You can only sign your attendance by logging in into the app within the classroom. and 30 minutes before the class starts. Our campus was the Southeast Asia University Sports Competition site in 2016. This is our graduation hall and also for exam purpose. This is a multi-purpose performing arts theater, which is can fit about 460 pax. This is our multi-purpose sports hall, which can play up to 6 different types of sports. And we have more than 130 lecture theaters and seminar rooms. So if you look at the table, the shape is quite interesting. It's because if you combine 6 of them, it is a circle for discussion, for workshop purpose. And this is our lab. This is our financial training center, which is 4 seconds behind the share market. So students can actually make use of this to learn trading. And this is our heritage gallery, which we built when Singapore was 49 years old and SIM celebrating our 50 years old. We have 2 big food courts. We have Subway, Starbucks, and some small cafe. And every meal, it costs around 250 to 400 yen. So I think in average, if in Japan, we eat per meal is about 500 to 900 yen. So in Singapore, you can see the cost is more manageable. And this is our rooftop tennis court. And our gym, which is free for all students, and our counseling, our wellness room. So we have scholarship that we want to share with students that you can apply from 1st of April to 30th of June if you're going for our diploma program. So do start researching soon because now we are already in the 2nd week of February. And it means that from now till the application window is open, you have 1.5 months to complete your application. So allow me to share with you a video of SIM, and after that, we will see what Japanese students said about living in Singapore. And every year during the normal time in July, we also have our study tour, which we do have students from Japan who join us here.
Hello, my name is Brian. I'm from Taiwan. The key points to studying smart is learning in group. In this way, we can help each other they don't understand. And everybody in the group can also teach me I don't know what to solve.
Hi, my name is Mai and I'm from Vietnam. The most remarkable part of the tour is definitely on the 6th day, the Hourglass Challenge. We broke our limits by joining the amazing race and also climbing the very tall building that also challenged our fears of heights and also tighten us together as a group. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and later on I really hope I could come back to Singapore to discover more.
So before we talk about the application portion, allow me to share with you 2 more videos. I'd like to bring you to see what our Japanese students has to say about their life in Singapore and sharing with you some of their daily activities here. So let me just play the video. Give me a moment.
SIM は世界各国の生徒たちが集まり、知識や経験を共有できる国際的な場所です。学校も綺麗で、スタバやサブウェイもあり、大きな体育館や図書館などの施設も充実しています。授業に必要なものは校内のフォトコピーショップや文房具店で買えるのでとても便利です。
僕は SIM のロンドン大学プログラムでシンガポールに来ました。 SIM は一番大きな教育機関で、たくさんのファーストクラスアナを輩出しています。また SIM は施設が豊富で、教育の質も高いです。シンガポールは安全でいろいろな体験ができ、異国の生活でより自立できます。SIM は刺激的です。授業は大変ですが、先生たちは授業についていけるようサポートしてくれるのでやる気になります。シンガポールの友人たちはとても勉強熱心でモチベーションになります。
SIM は異国の地で留学生活を豊かにしてくれるチャンスをくれた場所です。
SIM での経験は僕を成長させてくれます。シンガポールに来る前は人に頼ることが多かったですが、今は何事も自分自身で決め、常に自分の考えを持つことができています。
シングリッシュ。例えば、チョップはレストランでティッシュ箱などによって席を確保することを意味します。たくさんの言語を話す人々がこの国には集まっているのが面白いです。
シンガポールには様々な国の人がおり、いろいろな文化が交わっています。英語以外に中国語やマレー語、タミル語に各地の方言など、いろいろな言語が使われています。SIM の学生は世界40カ国以上から来ており、それぞれの背景があるので、彼らの文化や考え方を学ぶことができます。
シンガポールのドンキでは日本を感じることができます。日本のものが何でも揃っていて、とても便利です。日本から離れていても日本を身近に感じられる場所です。
シンガポールは異文化が混在する街で、常にそれを感じることができます。僕が電車でチャイナタウンからブギスまで移動するとき、数駅しかかかりませんが、全く別の世界に入り込んだかのように感じられます。
SIM では世界各国のたくさんの友達ができ、英語の上達や各国の文化を学べ、とっても楽しい学校生活を送っています。
シンガポールは世界各国から人々が訪れるグローバルな場所です。僕はこの国際的な社会で多様的な考えを高めていきたいと思い、シンガポールを選びました。
僕の場合、多文化の集まる環境を経験したいと思ったので、シンガポールはそれに適した場所でした。SIM での経験にとても満足しています。シンガポールで留学生として生活することや、多国籍が集まっている環境を楽しんでいます。
ここはダウンタウンです。たくさんの観光客が集まる有名な観光地の一つで、僕がグローバルと感じる場所です。シンガポールには日立や SMBC など日本の企業を含め様々な国から来た約8000の企業があります。ダイソンの本部もシンガポールに移転してくる予定です。
国際色豊かな環境でグローバルな世界を見てみませんか？ SIM で教育という名の旅を始めましょう。
I hope every of you enjoyed the video that I shared. So those are some of the Japanese students of SIM who is currently studying with us. And some of them were actually transferred from the Musashi University to come to Singapore to continue their study here. So I'm going to continue our sharing just now. Just give me a moment. Okay, so now let's get to the application, the information of what you need to prepare. Whenever going to study overseas, I think some of those items in general that you need to prepare is to find out what major you are interested in, to find out the entry requirement. For application online, everything can be submitted online through SIUK. They will help you to submit the application, to submit the visa application. You will need to prepare your transcript and certificate from your high school. So usually we will ask for year 10, 11, and 12, plus your passport copy and a copy of your photo, and also English. If you have done your IELTS and TOEFL, that will be needed. And also, if you haven't, you can always do the English placement test. Once you are eligible, then we will always be, we will have to submit your student pass application to the immigration. So documents need to be prepared as what I highlighted just now, but do note that for IELTS and TOEFL requirement, different program may be different. So do find out first. You should first confirm what major you are interested in. If you have not decided, we can do a multi-purpose intelligence test for you. So we call it the MIT program. So the multi-intelligence test is that if you have completed it, you will get to know a little bit more about your interests, what will fit your habit better, and would have a better rate of success if you actually pursue a career in that area. So before you come to Singapore, you also need to prepare the change of currency and then buy your ticket. And very soon we will have our collaboration with some of the airline, which allows students to purchase their ticket with lower cost. So upon arrival in Singapore, medical checkup is needed, and then you have to collect your student pass, open your bank account, and also make your tuition fee payment. Okay, so now I'd like to open the ground to question and answer. Feel free to ask questions. And after this session, I will also provide my line ID in case if any of you would like to arrange for an individual consultation session, SIU UK will facilitate that for us. Okay, Sachiko, back to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. それでは皆様本日は視聴いただきましてありがとうございます。プレゼンテーションの間にいただいたまず質問からアイビーさんに聞いていきたいと思いますので、もし他にもご質問ありましたら、チャットのところに入れていただければと思います。Okay, so actually, Ivy,
yes.
During your presentation, actually, I've gotten several questions from the students who are watching the live streaming.
Sure.
And then the first question is that one student would like to know the scholarship. If you have a scholarship for Japanese student with a high IELTS score.
Okay, so we do offer scholarship for diploma program, and in fact, usually Japanese students, when they go to UK, they need to do a foundation program. But in Singapore, we have pathway that allow them to skip the foundation year, meaning that they can actually do a 15 months diploma, which is equivalent to year 1 university, before they progress to year 2 and 3. So total, it will only take them 3 years and 3 months time. The scholarship is meant for the diploma program, which is for the 15 months program. And if the student get a scholarship, is 100% tuition fee waiver. The scholarship, if the student want to apply, it would be for the October 2021 intake. The application for scholarship would open from the 1st of April to 30th of June. So student will have to complete their official application before 1st of April, before they submit the scholarship application on the 1st of April.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the other question is, one student would like to know your student accommodation. So what kind of an option do you offer for the student and accommodation?
Okay, so before I talk about student accommodation, I think it is important to share with everyone that Singapore is actually relatively smaller in comparison to many countries. So it is unlike UK, US, where you must live in the university dormitory. Otherwise, you're going to be very far from the university because the university is very far from town. It is not. Singapore, because our country is smaller, from our university to the town area, we are located in the central western part. So it will take probably around 15 minutes if there is no jam for you to reach the central part of Singapore. So if you are choosing accommodation, you can always go for some of the student dormitories, which is shared dormitories among international students in Singapore. We are located on the in the same area with the National University of Singapore, Ngee Ann Polytechnic, and Singapore Polytechnic. So there are a lot of accommodation options. Then option number 2 is that after you stay in the dormitory for 3 months, you find a couple of friends that you think, okay, I can live with them. They are clean enough for me to stay together. I can always come out and rent a place together, which, for example, an apartment with 3 bedrooms. And then I have my individual room, which can even be cheaper than dormitory. So something that differentiates Singapore than other countries is that dormitory in other countries can be cheaper than private housing. But in Singapore, private housing may not be more expensive than dormitories. So there are a lot of options, which usually with Japanese students, the budget that they put in for education, it is more than enough.
Okay, thank you. And the other question is, do you offer any internship opportunity or a part-time work opportunity?
Okay. Very good question, actually. I think majority of the students, when they study overseas, they will always think about there's an internship and the part-time work opportunity. So something allow me to highlight is that, remember just now when we talk about if we go to other country, it will take you an extra foundation year, meaning that you have to do 4 years degree. But in Singapore, you actually only have to do around 3 years to 3 years plus, which means that you save around 1 year cost of living, 1 year time, and 1 year tuition fee. So, which is why actually during your 3 year study in Singapore, you are not allowed to do part-time work and internship. But what we encourage students is that 3 to 4 months before you complete your 3 years degree, you start looking for full-time job using some of the platform the SIM provide, so that student can go for full-time job, which the salary is about 5 times of a part-time job.
Okay, thank you. And the other question is that, one student would like to know the payment system for the tuition fee. Is it possible for student to pay by instrument?
Yes, there is installment option. So for tuition fee payment, we usually pay by term. We don't pay the whole year. So for example, if a US university, there are 3 terms a year, they divide into 3 terms. And then if the student is going for Australia University, which have 4 terms, they divide into 4 terms. For diploma, 15 months is actually 5 terms, so divide into 5 different payments.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question is that, probably the student is thinking about an MBA, but the student would like to know the job opportunity for the MBA when she or he finished the MBA course. And also she or the student would like to know that is there any possibility for Japanese student to get the work permit after finishing your postgraduate program?
Okay, so I would say that the answer varies for different students from different countries. I would have to say that students from Japan usually have higher chances of getting hired. So similar to what I shared just now during the presentation is that language is one key factor. And the other thing is because there are a lot of Japanese company investing in Singapore, which if you are able to speak Japanese is definitely an advantage. So for students who have a master's degree, definitely your qualification is higher than a bachelor's degree. But in general, we see that students even at bachelor's degree level, Japanese students graduated, want to work in Singapore, the chances of them getting a job here is quite high. It's just that some students, they may get very opportunity and offer back in Japan. So some of them, they actually purposely go back to Japan because the offer, the salary, and then because of the qualification, the English proficiency they have after graduation, they get a very good offer in Japan.
Okay, yeah. So as for the visa, so because of some country, if a student complete an undergraduate or postgraduate program, they can get the work permit for several years. But so if a student would like to work in Singapore, student need to get the work visa, right?
Correct. Okay, so work visa in Singapore works this way. 3 to 4 months before you graduate, once you actually find a company and the company is willing to sponsor you for this employment pass application, they will apply to the Ministry of Manpower. And the visa that they apply is usually for 1 year to 2 years and it's renewable. So the system in Singapore is that because I would say that it's very much dependent on whether the company is applying for you. The moment the company is willing to apply for you, even it is rejected once, don't get discouraged. You can always appeal and the chances of getting approved is very high.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's another question which I gotten from the student.
Sure. Thank you so much for everyone staying through for this afternoon, especially it's a Sunday. So what I'm leaving here is actually a QR code from LINE that you can scan and you can add. And please tell me that you come from the SI UK seminar so that we can arrange a session together with the consultant from SI UK to help you further. And because scholarship application is opening very soon on the 1st of April, and you will need to complete your official application before that to qualify for the application for scholarship, do reach out soon if you're graduating this year, and you can always reach out to us soon as well, even if you are planning for next year. Thank you so much, Sachiko. Thank you to everyone in SI UK, and hope to see everyone again very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
どうもありがとうございました。